Wait, what happened? Abayomi! Abayomi! What do you want, a little puppy baby? What are you doing? You're acting like a little puppy. Well, today I want to be finishing the Saved Watch Later. And, just see what else is going on.
Hi there. Would you like to read?
There's a lot of times where these things actually do happen, where people that should get revenge, you know? And I feel like it's rare the times that it happens, but I feel like these episodes should happen more than other types, like, you know, brothers that killed their sister, or people that died on Facebook because of their boyfriend, or a friend went out of control, or sad things that happen to people that just randomly happen out of nowhere, or ex-husbands or parents that do something, or child abuse, which is so stupid because like there's just a way to stop all of this, and the laws should be within these areas more strict, because it's like they're just letting these people out and it's just kind of stupid, you know. They're acting like it's one state that should decide one thing and another state that should decide another thing, and all of the states in one country should decide on the same thing. Like, in other countries it's not like this. um there's just so many stupid things as well. Like, it's just stupid. Some things that are just stupid. It's just like these types of things right here, like where parents are just either stuck in between something, or this one right here where the parents are acting like they don't know what the fuck is going on with their kids, like when their kids are being hurt. It's just even more stupid. And then stupid things over here again, where this guy just kills a baby for no reason. And then things like this that shouldn't happen, but good things that end up happening with the bad things that happen, which are very, very sad. A little girl was kidnapped and she was found. It's very sad. One thing that I was thinking was Mexico is helping the United States right now, which is crazy because people from Mexico are coming over here to the United States because they need help. And if they can help the United States, what is going on with why the people want to migrate over here? It just makes me think about, like, what are they not doing for the people that are migrating over here? Like, it's almost as the same, just that in the United States there are nice places more than in Mexico. Mexico is very small, so there's less nice places. But in some parts of the United States, it is torn apart as well. So in Mexico, there's more people that are probably asking for food, water, help than in the United States. Because homelessness nowadays is like these stalkers are just pretending to be homeless. And also, not only that, but in Mexico, they need help and they can't find help. There's no jobs. And in the United States as well, there is people that are on welfare and they need help and they need jobs, and sometimes they can't find, or sometimes they end up with disability and they can't find jobs. There's a lot of things that are almost alike, but it's just like kind of it's just like there should be a way where people actually can live in their country and find a way to get help. But I guess presidents don't have everything under control as they would want to at times. So kind of sucks. Because a lot of things are not how they would wish as well. Or sometimes it's other things. like the violence that is mostly harming the people. I don't know, it just was kind of crazy to me how they're helping out in California, but a lot of people need help out there. And it takes to have people out here. So it takes money to have people out here. So, there's gonna be where now it's a little more setback. Like they were going to do something in the United States, now they're going to do something else in the United States before they do something that they were already going to do. It should be thought about like that. Yet, now that we're probably going to have a kind of like a smarter president within the in not really business, more in the money wise area, because he's kind of smart in that aspect. So I think that things will go better because he will kind of know where to start and what to do. And it is kind of like you should know what you should start with. And a lot of people are kind of questioning if it's a good thing that there are borders that high to keep people out, but in reality it is a good thing because there's a lot of people that come from Mexico and they just don't do the right things. And a lot of immigrants get a lot of help as well. And I know this because my dad, he was an immigrant up until 2018. And that's because he didn't like anything about the United States, about how they ran. And I think that they still help people here, just that I think immigrants really do speak for themselves a lot, and I think my dad stood up a lot for himself being an immigrant because he wants to do things where he's going to be good at the end of everything that he has worked on. Like, he was an immigrant. He didn't have green papers when he started his company. He gave his company to his brothers. He still did everything he could to get money for us. So no matter what, he was already thinking like, I need to be careful with everything that I'm doing. And he did not get the green card because of that. And my mom was telling him, just get it. And she's like, no, because he's like, no, because it's not gonna be a good thing for us. It won't benefit us if I just get the green card and we end up with nothing to eat, because they're tracking us down now. And well, he got his green card after a couple of years, like 2018, and when that happened, that was 2013, when they would have those conversations about like not wanting the green card and wanting the green card and things like that. They got into an argument, they almost divorced, and my dad was set up at a green light, red light. A car just hit him and left. And right before that, I was hearing the stalker saying like something like, just we are here, just we're like. And that was because I was supposed to be sleeping that day here in this room when there was nothing here and it was empty, and there was a closet instead of a little room. And I was just like, wow, like, I heard them talking about my dad, because at that time my dad was like going through arguments with my mom about not wanting the green card and being away from here because he was over there, and she wanted to sell the house. He didn't want to sell the house, and they ended up selling the house, and we ended up here. But we already knew somehow we were going to be here. It's just how we ended up here was not what it should have been like. We were probably already going to be here. It's just weird how it ended up that we had to end up here, like how we ended up here. And he got the green card, and he got a very good job where he lives now, where they pay like $27 an hour. And that's because he has experience and because he's been working there for a while, so they've been helping him. And then so that happened. He had that job for a while. And then he tried to retire, and then he went back, got a job, and now he's just doing work as a maintenance or plumber, because he knows about plumbing. He knows about everything, electricity, construction, everything. But he's now doing that, and there's a lot of reasons why people probably don't want to become a citizen, but there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people also think that they'd rather be here. And and some people are doing it more for help, but some people are doing it more because of how much they know they have worked. So at the end of everything, when they retire, that's when it's gonna show like what happened, what did you do, and everything. And I guess the United States has been robbing people, like taxes and everything as well. Like they just take a lot from people, and it's just kind of sad, because a lot of people do a lot of things that are good for other people, and they even go out of the way to spend money, a lot of money, to help other people. And sometimes what was happening with the government was they would literally be taking advantage of them, like literally taking advantage of them and taking their money. I think that was what was happening, like literally happening. So,
A brutal crime occurred that would irreversibly alter the lives of the Bradford family. 16-year-old Nika Bradford, a promising gymnast at Tacoma Central High School, was returning from her evening practice at the local gymnastics academy on Maple Street. The abduction took place on Maple Street, between an abandoned car wash facility and a local grocery store. Surveillance footage from the store, though of poor quality, captured the moment when a black Dodge Caravan, manufactured between 2008 and 2010, pulled up alongside Nika. 2 witnesses later reported hearing screams, but by the time they reached the location, the vehicle had already fled the scene. Laura Bradford, Nika's mother, became concerned when her daughter failed to return home and had not answered several phone calls. After multiple unanswered calls to Nika's cell phone, Laura contacted the police. Officer Sarah Martinez was the first to respond to the emergency call and arrived at the Bradford residence shortly after. The Tacoma Police Department immediately initiated a search operation, deploying multiple units across the city's industrial district, where similar vehicles had been reported in previous weeks. A security guard at the local industrial complex, located approximately 4 miles from the abduction site, discovered Nika unconscious behind an abandoned warehouse. David Bradford, Nika's father, was working a late shift at a local auto service center when he received a devastating call from his wife. A respected mechanic with 15 years of experience at the service center, David rushed to the nearest medical center, where paramedics had transported his daughter. Medical records documented severe injuries, including multiple contusions, internal bleeding, and signs of sexual assault. The attending emergency physician classified Nika's condition as critical but stable. The initial medical examination revealed defensive wounds on her hands and arms, indicating she had fought against her attacker.
Hey, how much does my coworker make? You're not allowed to know that. All good. I'll just check the Glassdoor app. The what?
Do you want to see how much money you're eligible for if you were in a car crash within the last 2 years?
Against her attacker. Detective James Wilson, assigned as the lead investigator, established a timeline of events. The entire ordeal had lasted approximately 4 hours, during which the perpetrator had taken Nika to an unknown secondary location before abandoning her at the industrial complex. Evidence collected from the scene included tire tracks, partial fingerprints, and traces of automotive grease, suggesting the perpetrator might have connections to the automotive industry. The Tacoma Police Department issued a citywide alert for the black Dodge Caravan, but the vehicle's license plate had been deliberately obscured during the crime, significantly hampering initial investigation efforts. The investigation team, led by Detective Wilson, began an extensive canvass of local auto repair shops and dealerships, working on the theory that the perpetrator's knowledge of vehicles might lead to a breakthrough in the case. They also started compiling a database of similar incidents in neighboring counties, searching for patterns that might help identify the case. They began by analyzing surveillance footage from various locations along Maple Street and surrounding areas, checking their backgrounds and noting any suspicious behavior. His efforts, while thorough, yielded no concrete leads. The police conducted extensive interviews with the 2 witnesses, who had heard Nika's screams during the abduction. Both described hearing tires screeching and a door sliding shut, but neither had seen the driver clearly. One witness noted that the van had appeared to have been recently washed and detailed, suggesting the perpetrator was methodical in concealing evidence. DNA evidence collected from Nika's clothing in the crime scene failed to match any profiles in law enforcement databases. Tire track analysis confirmed the vehicle model. Despite conducting over 200 interviews and following up on numerous tips from the public, investigation began to slow. Resources were gradually reallocated to other cases as leads dried up. Detective Wilson maintained the case file as active, but was forced to acknowledge that without new evidence or witnesses coming forward, the chances of identifying the attacker were diminishing. The reduction in police activity did not deter David Bradford. He continued his personal investigation, often working late into the night after his regular shifts at the auto shop. He expanded his search to include body shops and custom car facilities, theorizing that someone who had modified their vehicle might have knowledge about the attack. His dedication to finding the perpetrator began to take a toll on his personal life and work performance. By the end of the 3rd month, the case had officially transitioned to cold case status, though Detective Wilson continued to check new leads as they emerged. The investigation files remained accessible, waiting for the one piece of evidence that might break the case open. Followed more devastating. The once vibrant gymnast withdrew from school clinical depression. She began treatment with Dr. Rachel Thompson, a trauma specialist, attending 3 sessions per week. The treatment plan included both cognitive behavioral therapy and prescribed antidepressants, but Nika showed minimal response to either intervention. During therapy sessions, Nika reported persistent nightmares and flashbacks of the attack. She developed an intense fear of vehicles, particularly dark-colored vans, which triggered severe panic attacks. Her sleep patterns became severely disrupted, and she rarely left the house except for medical appointments. School records show she switched to home-based learning, as she found it impossible to concentrate in classroom settings. The Bradford family tried various approaches to help their daughter. Laura Bradford took a leave of absence from her teaching position to provide full-time support. They relocated Nika's bedroom to the ground floor when she developed anxiety. As winter progressed, Nika's condition deteriorated significantly. She stopped responding to text messages from her former teammates and refused to see her closest friends. Her medication dosage was adjusted several times, but the prescribed antidepressants seemed to have little effect. Dr. Thompson noted increasing concerns about Nika's withdrawal and loss of interest in activities she previously enjoyed. On February 15, 2011, exactly 4 months after the assault, Laura Bradford went to check on her daughter after she failed to come down for breakfast. She discovered Nika unresponsive in her bed. Medical examiners later confirmed that she had ingested a fatal dose of sleeping medication, which she had been secretly stockpiling from her prescriptions. The suicide note found beside her bed revealed the depth of her suffering. Written in steady handwriting, Nika expressed her inability to overcome the trauma of the assault. The note also contained apologies to her parents and a request for them not to blame themselves. The autopsy report confirmed the cause of death as acute pharmaceutical toxicity, and the bright future she had ahead of her. The impact on the Bradford family was devastating. Laura and David found themselves unable to include the secondary death investigation. The tragic development added another layer to the original assault case, effectively elevating the consequences of the unsolved crime and intensifying the urgency to find the perpetrator. March, Tacoma. David Bradford's grief manifested in an all-consuming. From 2011 to 2021, Bradford worked as a mechanic in countless automotive shops between Seattle and San Diego. He developed a systematic approach to his search, typically staying in each location for 3 to 6 months before moving on. His employment records show positions in major cities including Portland, Sacramento, Los Angeles, and numerous smaller towns along the Pacific coast. In each new location, Bradford maintained detailed notebooks documenting every individual he encountered with tattoos, particularly focusing on those involving snakes or daggers.
Good
He
job,
photographed suspicious
man.
markings when possible, and collected information about local tattoo artists specializing in similar designs. His apartment walls became covered with maps marking the locations of auto shops and tattoo parlors across 3 states. During this period, Bradford's behavior became increasingly methodical. He created elaborate spreadsheets tracking vehicle maintenance records, paying particular attention to black Dodge Caravans from the late 2000s. His coworkers often noted his intense interest in customers with automotive knowledge, especially those who appeared to match the general description of the attacker. Former colleagues reported that Bradford would work excessive hours, often volunteering for additional shifts that allowed him to inspect more vehicles. He developed a reputation for being thorough and detail-oriented in his work, but also distant and singularly focused. Many described him as a man possessed by a mission that consumed every aspect of his life. Despite maintaining a low profile, Bradford stayed in regular contact with Detective Wilson in Tacoma, periodically sending possible leads and information about suspicious individuals. While most of these leads proved fruitless, his dedication never wavered. He also developed a network of contacts in various auto shops, creating an informal intelligence network that helped him track potential suspects across state lines. Bradford's personal life during these years was virtually non-existent. Bank records show his earnings were spent primarily on basic living expenses and investigation-related costs. He lived in modest accommodations, often in weekly rate motels or small apartments near his temporary workplaces. His only regular social interactions were with coworkers and individuals who might help advance his search. Medical records from this period indicate Bradford suffered from chronic insomnia and anxiety, though he consistently refused psychological treatment. He maintained a rigorous physical routine, believing he needed to stay fit to confront his daughter's attacker if the opportunity arose. His few personal Bradford had investigated hundreds of potential suspects in the industry and the Pacific Northwest region around the time of Nika's attack. In January 2022, David Bradford's 11-year search led him to an automotive exhibition in Tacoma. Among the attendees was Victor Crane, owner of a local auto repair shop. What caught Bradford's attention was a distinctive tattoo on Crane's forearm, a snake coiled around a dagger with the initials VK, matching the description his daughter had provided over a decade ago. Bradford conducted detailed surveillance of his suspect, securing employment at a neighboring auto repair shop. From this vantage point, he meticulously documented Crane's daily routines over the course of a month. Investigation records show that Bradford mapped out Crane's regular schedule, noting that he typically worked late hours alone at his shop on Tuesday evenings. Security camera footage revealed that Bradford spent these weeks studying the layout of Crane's facility, observing entry points and security measures. He took particular interest in the shop's closing procedures and alarm systems. Phone records indicate he made several calls to local supply stores, purchasing items that would later be identified as implements of torture. On February 15, 2022, exactly 11 years after his daughter's suicide, Bradford executed his meticulously planned confrontation. He entered Crane's auto shop shortly after closing time, armed with tools and a digital voice recorder. Police reports indicate that Bradford disabled the security system using knowledge gained from his surveillance. The following events were reconstructed from crime scene evidence and Bradford's recorded confession. Over several hours, Bradford subjected Crane to systematic torture using various tools from the auto shop. During this ordeal, Bradford obtained a recorded confession from Crane, acknowledging his role in Nika Bradford's assault 11 years earlier. The medical examiner's report detailed extensive injuries inflicted on Crane, indicating a prolonged period of suffering before death. The torture methods showed technical knowledge of human anatomy, suggesting Bradford had studied how to inflict maximum pain while keeping his victim conscious and able to speak. After killing Crane, Bradford attempted to end his own life using the same type of sleeping medication that had claimed his daughter's life 11 years earlier. However, the dose proved insufficient. Emergency responders, alerted by an anonymous call from a neighboring business, found Bradford unconscious but alive at the scene. Crime scene investigators recovered the digital voice recorder containing Crane's confession and Bradford's own detailed account of his motivations. The recording revealed that Bradford had planned this confrontation for years, saving the final act for the anniversary of his daughter's death. The audio evidence would later play a crucial role in the subsequent legal proceedings. Forensic analysis of the crime scene revealed Bradford's methodical approach. He had carefully selected tools that would not be immediately missed from his workplace, wearing gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints. The only DNA evidence found belonged to him and Crane, suggesting no other participants were involved. The initial police response was led by Detective Wilson, who had maintained the original case file from 2010. His report noted the ironic circumstance that Bradford's vigilante action had finally confirmed the identity of Nika's attacker, though through means that would ensure his own imprisonment. Bradford was transported to the hospital under police custody, where doctors treated him for the failed suicide attempt. Medical records indicate he remained largely unresponsive to questioning during his initial recovery, speaking only to confirm that he had achieved what he set out to do 11 years earlier. The trial of David Bradford began on April 5, 2022, in the Washington State Supreme Court. State prosecutors, led by District Attorney Margaret Stevens, sought a life sentence without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. The prosecution's case emphasized the premeditated nature of the crime, presenting evidence of Bradford's extensive surveillance and careful planning leading up to Crane's murder. During the opening arguments, prosecutors detailed Bradford's methodical preparation, including his strategic employment near Crane's business, the acquisition of torture implements, and the calculated timing of the murder to coincide with the anniversary of his daughter's death. They argued that such deliberate planning demonstrated a clear intent that warranted the maximum sentence. The defense team, headed by attorney Thomas Mitchell, constructed their argument around 3 key elements. The first and most compelling piece of evidence was the audio recording recovered from the crime scene, containing Victor Crane's confession to the 2010 assault on Nika Bradford. Forensic audio analysts confirmed the authenticity of the recording, providing the first concrete evidence linking Crane to the original crime. The second pillar of the defense strategy centered on Bradford's psychological evaluation. Dr. Sarah Patterson, a forensic psychiatrist, testified about Bradford's severe trauma-induced psychological deterioration over the 11 years following his daughter's suicide. Her assessment detailed how the unresolved trauma and grief had manifested in an obsessive pursuit of justice, significantly impacting his mental state and decision-making capacity. The third element focused on Bradford's previously unblemished record. The defense presented testimony from numerous former employers and colleagues from auto shops across the West Coast, all attesting to his professional conduct and dedicated work ethic during his 11-year search. These character witnesses painted a picture of a man driven by grief rather than inherent criminal tendencies. The jury deliberations lasted 3 days, during which they requested multiple reviews of both the audio confession and Dr. Patterson's psychological evaluation. On May 12, 2022, they returned with their verdict. The court sentenced David Bradford to 30 years in prison with mandatory psychiatric treatment and the possibility of parole after 20 years. In his final statement to the court,
So there are some questions within medical law that should patients, should they be allowed to like psychiatric care? And in all of the cases, unless they are like this and they are getting revenge for something good, they should not be allowed. Because those people act like there's something wrong with them when they already knew there was something wrong with them, and when they chose to go down the path that they went down. There's a lot of times where they know what is wrong, but they keep going towards that. And this is why I say people should get x-rays and get help to get anything out. Yes, actually, they should. To get anything out that is either talking to them to try to control their state of mind and also controlling their body movements, because that can be very dangerous for a lot of people in the United States, especially where we have been attacked at. So, yeah. This right here is justice. And it's really sad that what happened to his daughter ended up taking her life, but at the same time, he got revenge and he should not have to be in a prison cell, treated as if he raped someone or as if he killed someone just because he was thinking that it was a better thing and fun to do. Because that's where people are in a state of mind when they think, oh, I just wanted to know what this was like, or they want to do it because they have that anger that is rushing them, you know? So what's wrong? You want to hear it a little louder?
Layla! Where's Layla? I know she's here somewhere.
Okay, I'll put it down.
Layla! There she is. Let's go meet her. Hey! Oh! Would you like to have a tea party with me? Oh, I would love to. Are you Layla? Yeah. When do I go have?
Are you Layla? Are you Hayla?
Yeah, I would love to. Let's go. So this is my seat, and then that's yours seat right there. Oh, okay, that's your seat? Oh, I thought we were gonna switch seats, but I guess I'll have this one. Ooh, what color of drink do you have? I have, blue. Ooh, yeah, blue. And I have orange. May I please have a little more?
My little son is trying to fall asleep.
Bradford spoke briefly, expressing no remorse for Crane's death. His only stated regret was his survival of the suicide attempt, saying he had hoped to follow his daughter's path. This statement significantly influenced the judge's decision to include mandatory psychiatric treatment in the sentence. Following his sentencing, Bradford underwent comprehensive psychological evaluation at the state prison facility. Prison psychiatrists diagnosed him with severe personality disorder, complicated by post-traumatic stress disorder and chronic depression. The medical team noted his high suicide risk, implementing protocols for continuous monitoring. Psychiatric treatment in the sentence. Following his sentencing, Bradford underwent comprehensive psychological evaluation at the state prison facility. Prison psychiatrists diagnosed him with severe personality disorder, complicated.
Personality disorder. Look it up. See if it still means the same thing. They're always changing things. And personality disorder doesn't mean that you act like a different person. It just means that you're like, what I think that it means is that you're trying to go by the day, but there's something that you hide with inside of you that, like, it could be sadness, it could be anything. And sometimes it's hard to see what is really going on with you because maybe you don't even know what's going on. So that's what and it could be a lot of trauma, and it could lead to eating disorders and a lot of those types of things. Yeah, it's very sad actually. But a lot of impulse control. Like, you want to be as fast as you can to say what you think that is right because you feel like you're under pressure a lot. And it is a lot of social experiences that lead to these types of behaviors because sometimes you are traumatized or sometimes you go through something that you don't understand and it's hard to talk about, which is a little less than traumatized because these situations are not like where you are raped, maybe you are harassed, but you feel like it's not a big deal, so you avoid the trauma feelings and emotions and the cycles and the paths towards that because you try to live normal, so you still go about it normally. And borderline personality disorder. So when I talked to a evaluator, they did not tell me that this was what was borderline personality disorder because this seems a little bit dramatic, but things change within like 10 years, so I am not diagnosed with this, but I'm just saying, like, 2014, this was not what it was mostly alike. And a lot of people, probably with borderline personality disorder, do have fear, probably do panic and are nervous, and they are fast to think and say what they're thinking because they are scared that something else is going to be like taking into thought by the person that is hearing the person with BPD talk. And that's just because cyber stalking, again, it's just an issue everywhere. No matter what, they are putting things in people to hear every single day. So it's just a continuous thing they do.
Prison psychiatrists diagnosed him with severe personality disorder, complicated by post-traumatic stress disorder and chronic depression. The medical team noted his high suicide risk, implementing protocols for continuous monitoring. Currently, Bradford serves his sentence in a maximum security facility under constant medical supervision. Prison records indicate his continued refusal to participate in group therapy sessions, though he maintains compliance with his prescribed psychiatric medication regimen. The facility's mental health staff report his persistent preoccupation with his daughter's case, suggesting that even after achieving his mission of revenge, Bradford remains haunted by the events that destroyed his family. The case has since been cited in numerous legal discussions regarding vigilante justice and has prompted debates about the adequacy of support systems for families of violent crime victims.
85% of people using this space have
I
achieved
feel
their
like
ideal weight goal.
that guy that had the VK tattoo that also worked within cars targeted this guy. And that's very sad, because this guy was doing well within his work and everything, and it's just really sad.
On August 20th, 2024, thousands of Facebook users watched their screens in horror as what began as a typical social media live stream transformed into a tragic display of violence.
This is really
At the
sad.
Monarch Ridge Apartments in Birmingham, Alabama, 21-year-old Asia Elise Poole, a young mother whose daughter had just started pre-kindergarten, stepped into frame. The camera captured an ordinary parking lot scene. Cars parked in their spaces, the summer heat.
They put things in people's ears so that these people that they are talking about could fall into this state of mind where they are hopeless. And this is the main reason why they target people, because they want people to feel hopeless and they want them to feel weak, and that is how they mostly get away with things, because by the end of 5 years, 1 year, the person that they've been targeting, these cyber stalkers, these people now are in either trauma or mental experiences where they can't talk about anything how they want to, or where their mind is like kind of suffering almost, and sometimes they even make the people sound like they're the way they're talking, like how I could just stutter. Their voice sounds as if it's like going in and out, or the words that they're saying, they're like stuttering. And they just make fun of people. They just hurt people. They are mad about what I am doing, so of course they're upset about that. But I mean, they have targeted me, so
Typical social media
I'm
live
gonna
stream
keep talking about
transformed
what
into
they're
a
doing.
tragic display of violence. At the Monarch Ridge Apartments in Birmingham, Alabama, 21-year-old Asia Elise Poole, a young mother whose daughter had just started pre-kindergarten, stepped into frame. The camera captured an ordinary parking lot scene. Cars parked in their spaces, the summer heat visible in the shimmer above the asphalt. No one watching could have predicted that within minutes, this everyday setting would become the scene of one of Birmingham's most shocking crimes. As viewers continued to scroll through their feeds, the live stream captured a confrontation that would escalate beyond anyone's imagination. Asia, who had recently lost her child's father just weeks before, found herself in the center of a dispute that would tragically be her last. The timestamp on the video marked 10 p.m. By 10:31 p.m., Asia would be gone, leaving behind a devastated community and a young daughter who'd already lost too much. What started as a heated argument between two young women erupted into chaos as multiple masked figures emerged, armed with modified weapons and assault-style rifles. The peaceful night air was shattered by an unprecedented display of violence. 168 rounds fired in a residential area. The sound of gunfire echoed through the apartment complex as bullets pierced cars, homes, and ultimately claimed a young mother's life. The scale of the attack shocked even experienced Birmingham police officers. Multiple shooters, coordinated movements, and military-grade weapons. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was a planned assault that turned a social media dispute into a deadly encounter, all while cameras continued to roll. Before we delve deeper into the events that led to this devastating night, take a moment to consider, how did a social media conflict escalate to this level of violence? What drives young people to resolve disputes with such deadly force? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you witnessed online? Help spread awareness by hitting the like button This story contains details as we uncover the full story. Mother focused on creating a stable life for her. Photos of her daughter's colorful for her daughter. The full weight of parental responsibility. Friends noticed her increased determination to stay strong for her daughter during this period. She focused on maintaining routines and creating moments of joy despite their shared grief. 21 passed away unexpectedly. Account for education. She was reportedly pregnant at the time of her death. Though this detail wasn't officially confirmed, a fact that adds another layer of loss to this tragic story. Asia's home at the Monarch Ridge Apartments represented both opportunity and challenge. Located in Birmingham's 2900 block of Gallant Drive, the complex had a reputation for safety concerns among residents. Despite this, Asia worked to create a comfortable home for her daughter within their apartment walls. Their unit overlooked the parking lot where the tragic events would later unfold. Asia had decorated her daughter's room with bright colors and educational posters, creating a safe haven amid the complex's challenges. She developed a network of neighbors who looked out for each other, sharing childcare responsibilities and building a sense of community. However, the environment at Monarch Ridge posed ongoing concerns. Security cameras installed throughout the complex weren't properly connected to the city's real-time crime center, despite agreements to do so. Residents often expressed worries about safety, with some describing recent conditions as the worst they'd ever seen. Yet, like many young parents facing financial constraints, Asia did her best to protect her child while working toward the goal of eventually moving to a safer neighborhood. The conflict that led to Asia's death centered around a personal dispute with 19-year-old Jania Hendricks. What began as tension over an unnamed man evolved into a series of escalating confrontations. Social media played a crucial role in amplifying their disagreement, with both women engaging in online exchanges that heightened the animosity. Friends of Asia reported that she had tried to distance herself from the situation multiple times. In the weeks leading up to the incident, she'd focused on her daughter and avoided places where she might encounter Jania. However, living in the same apartment complex made complete avoidance impossible. Small encounters in the parking lot or at local stores.
Hayla's video is stopped. What the? What happened? Cool. Uh-oh. What happened?
Kept the tension alive. The unnamed man at the center of the dispute had reportedly maintained connections with both women, inadvertently fueling their conflict. Messages exchanged between the parties showed increasing hostility, with mutual friends attempting to mediate without success. The situation reflected a modern reality where personal disputes no longer remain private, but play out across social media platforms, drawing in wider audiences and escalating tensions. The Monarch Ridge Apartments had witnessed numerous violent incidents in the months preceding Asia's death. Residents reported regular disturbances, from minor altercations to serious weapons-related incidents. Police records showed multiple calls to the complex each week, creating an environment where violence had become normalized. Security measures at the complex proved inadequate. Despite Birmingham City officials' requirements, the apartment surveillance system remained disconnected from law enforcement monitoring. This technical oversight left residents vulnerable, with no real times. None had resulted in fatalities. Witnesses reported seeing groups of people gathering in the parking lot, engaging in heated arguments. These gatherings often included friends and associates of both women, expanding the conflict beyond its original participants. The involvement of Justin Hendricks and Taylor McLeod added a dangerous element to the situation. Their presence at Monarch Ridge became more frequent, often accompanied by others in vehicles that circled the complex. Residents noted unusual activity, with unfamiliar cars moving slowly through the parking lot in the days leading up to August 20th. Social media posts from various involved parties hinted at impending violence. Cryptic messages and veiled threats circulated online, drawing reactions and comments that further intensified the situation. The digital trail would later prove crucial for investigators piecing together the events that led to that fatal night. August 20th, 2024 began as a typical summer evening at Monarch Ridge Apartments. The timeline would later prove crucial. 9:45 Eastway. 9:52 p.m. Asia Ellis Poole returned home from picking up food, parking her Ford sedan in its usual spot. She appeared unaware of the gathering crowd. 9:58 p.m. The Facebook livestream began, initially showing casual conversations among small groups in the parking lot. 10 p.m. Jania Hendricks arrived at the complex, accompanied by several others. 10. The first verbal exchange between Asia and Jania occurred near the parked vehicles. 10 p.m. Additional vehicles arrived, parking strategically around the complex's exits. A physical altercation, initially showing casual conversation in its usual spot. She appeared unaware of the gathering crowd. captured multiple vehicles entering the complex parking lot, including a dark SUV and several sedans. Residents reported seeing unfamiliar faces gathering near the breezeway. 9:52 p.m., Asia Ellis Poole returned home from picking up food, parking her Ford sedan in its usual spot. She appeared unaware of the gathering crowd. 9:58 p.m., the Facebook livestream began, initially showing casual conversations among small groups in the parking lot. 10 p.m., Jania Hendricks arrived at the complex, accompanied by several others. 10, the first verbal exchange between Asia and Jania occurred near the parked vehicles. 10 p.m., additional vehicles arrived, parking strategically around the complex's exits. The physical altercation began, quickly drawing attention from residents and online viewers. Multiple armed individuals emerged from various positions around the complex. The first shots were fired, initiating a devastating chain of events. Birmingham police received multiple 911 calls reporting gunfire. First responders arrived at the scene, finding Asia unresponsive. The Facebook livestream captured the tense moments as Asia and Jania faced each other in the parking lot. Their initial exchange of words quickly escalated into a physical altercation. The fight moved from the hood of a parked car to the breezeway, with neither woman backing down. Onlookers gathered, some recording with their phones, others calling out encouragement or trying to intervene. Asia's best friend attempted to separate the women multiple times, sensing the dangerous energy building around them. The physical fight itself lasted approximately 5 minutes, with both women seemingly exhausted by the end. As the initial fight concluded, Asia turned to walk away. Witnesses described her attempting to return to her vehicle, possibly to leave the scene entirely. The live stream showed her reaching for her car door, keys in hand. Her best friend stood nearby, urging her to leave the area quickly. At this crucial moment in Asia's story, we need to pause and reflect. Social media has transformed how conflicts escalate in our communities. Could this tragedy have been prevented if someone had intervened earlier? What role do we play as digital witnesses to developing conflicts? Share your thoughts below on how communities can better address disputes before they turn violent. Have you ever witnessed a situation where early intervention prevented escalation? Your experiences and insights could help others recognize warning signs and take action. This story highlights the critical importance of conflict resolution in our digital age. Solutions that protect young, fight Glock switches and assault-style rifles. The first shots came from the direction of the SUV, triggering an immediate response from other armed individuals. The complex erupted in gunfire, with bullets striking vehicles, buildings, and eventually people. Asia's complex continued recording, capturing the tragedy in real time. In the chaos, Asia was struck by gunfire. Birmingham Fire and Rescue Services arrived minutes later, but despite their efforts, she was pronounced dead at 10:31 p.m. In the immediate aftermath, Jania Hendricks fled the scene in Asia's car, adding vehicle theft to the night's tragic events. Minutes after the gunfire ceased, Birmingham police flooded the Monarch Ridge complex. Officers discovered Asia lying unresponsive near her car, while other victims sought medical attention. Her best friend, suffering from a leg wound, was rushed to UAB hospital for emergency treatment. Police immediately established a perimeter, marking 168 separate bullet casings scattered across the parking lot and breezeway. The scale of evidence collection required additional units and lighting equipment to process the sprawling crime scene. Officers conducted door-to-door welfare checks, discovering multiple apartments and vehicles damaged by stray bullets. The Facebook livestream that captured the tragedy continued circulating online, forcing police to act quickly to preserve digital evidence. Officers at the scene dealt with a growing crowd of concerned residents and family members arriving after seeing the video. Asia's siblings arrived shortly after, their grief-stricken reactions captured by bystanders' phones. First responders worked to maintain order while preserving critical evidence in the chaotic aftermath. News of Asia's death sent shockwaves through Birmingham. Local residents gathered at Monarch Ridge, holding impromptu vigils and leaving memorial items near the scene. Parents who had children in the same pre-kindergarten class as Asia's daughter grappled with
Like, they'll say my name, but then they'll act like they're not stalking me, so they're just weird.
Miss Smith, you're pregnant.
That's impossible. I'm only 19. Plus,
Nature is taking back all that was once hers. We were the virus. Permanent payback.
Otter grappled with explaining the tragedy to their young ones. The community's response highlighted deeper concerns about violence in the area. Birmingham. Local residents gathered at Monarch Ridge, holding impromptu vigils and leaving memorial items near the scene. Parents who had children in the same pre-kindergarten class as Asia's daughter grappled with explaining the tragedy to their young ones. The community's response highlighted deeper concerns about violence in the area. Residents demanded answers.
First tonight, family, friends, and the community gathered in Florida City to honor the life of 13-year-old Jovan Taylor, affectionately known as Wuda, who was killed in a shooting that also hospitalized another child. Family members are begging for people to come forward with information. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Elliot Rodriguez.
And I'm Lauren Pastrana, CBS News Miami's Chelsea.
Sweeping people off their feet. 13-year-old Javon seen tape and police lights filled the streets following the gunfire as Florida City Police responded to the scene here along Northwest 6th Avenue. Police say a group of juveniles were standing outside of a home. Bullet holes remain a symbol of the violence from the night before.
My nephew is hurt and he's 5 years old. He has to now live without a brother. My sister is hurt and she has to live without her firstborn, somebody that she birthed, because of something he had nothing to do with.
Javon just turned 13.
Married couple and their unborn baby shot to death in the middle of a park on Labor Day. Maple Heights police say the person who pulled the trigger was that woman's younger brother.
When I wake up tired, I know it's because of the energy I spent hating you. I know I will be forever tired because I will forever hate you.
It was on Monday, September 4th, 2023, when reports would circulate in Maple Heights, Ohio, about a terrible murder case. A young couple had just been murdered in broad daylight alongside their unborn child. However, the really disturbing part of the story was when sources revealed that the woman's brother was the one who pulled the trigger. Trey, who was 31, and Mercedes, 30, had tied the knot just a few months ago. Trey worked as a podcaster, while Mercedes was a cosmetologist and makeup artist. The couple lived in Maple Heights, Ohio, a serene suburb of Cleveland. Before her marriage to Trey, Mercedes was just another beautiful young Black American woman making her way through life in the vibrant city. She had a successful career and also had a great personality. She was warm, caring, and fun to be around. All that was needed was a man to love and complete her world. That dream became a reality when Trey proposed to her. Trey and Mercedes had been dating for a few years, and the relationship had been going smoothly. But at the peak of their love, Trey proposed her. You see, the couple had come that day particularly to see Mercedes' mom. Little did they know that her brother had other plans. As soon as he came and saw them, all hell broke loose. According to Mercedes' mom, she has no idea what had made Jason so enraged, but he snapped immediately when he saw Mercedes and her husband. He shot her.
Do you have any idea why your son was so upset with your daughter and her husband?
Well, that's a long story in itself, but the bottom line is he was holding a grudge. He just wouldn't let it go. It just festered, and I guess that was the end result.
Jason and Mercedes were just 1 year apart. Cynthia Ivey, who refused to share exact details of what beef Mercedes had with his sister, did admit that she never expected things would end this way.
Never in a million years could Ivy have imagined that her 29-year-old son, Jason Iverson, would shoot and kill his own pregnant sister and her husband in cold blood.
Him and his sister has always been close. He's always been able to call her, and she would bail him out of whatever it was.
Jason killed Mercedes and her husband right there in front of their mom. It was horrible. No one would have imagined that 21-year-old Jason Iverson would be capable of doing such a thing to his blood sister.
Her brother.
It's still a mystery why Jason Iverson snapped and did what he did. According to his mom, he was struggling a bit in life at that point. But even so, that is not enough reason to kill your own sister. Jason's mom admitted that.
Very sad.
I thank God for the 25 years that she.
Gosh, this one was really sad. I heard about it a while ago. It's so scary, but they went to Mexico and they hurt her there, Shaquilla and Shanquella, and it was very sad. It's very sad. They just beat her up. They beat her. They really hurt her.
Were here with me, but I hate to see my child leave here like that,
It's kind of weird because she paid for everything.
Even though it's been 2 years since Shanquella Robinson's tragic death, the internet is still furious and demanding justice. Just when we thought this case couldn't get any worse, new details and evidence have emerged that suggest her death wasn't an accident. It was allegedly planned by her own friends. Unseen footage of Shanquella's attackers being confronted has just leaked, and it's shocking. Did Shanquella's friends really lure her to Cabo with the intention of harming her and planning her death? And why did they hate her so much? What was the real reason behind it? Let's dive in and uncover the truth. Shanquella Robinson's death has left the entire community in shock and confusion in the weeks following the incident. For those who aren't familiar with the case, here's a quick run. Shanquella. But when she passed away, Khalil said the resuscitation efforts had failed. The group decided to cut their trip short and return home to North Carolina. What's even more bizarre is that they left Shanquella's body in Mexico but took her luggage with them, which Khalil then dropped off at her parents' house. In a recent interview, Shanquella's mother revealed that Khalil continued to lie to her when he dropped off her daughter's luggage, still insisting that Shanquella died from alcohol poisoning. When asked what they told her had happened to
That is so disgusting.
continued to lie to her when he dropped off her daughter's luggage, still insisting that Shanquella died from alcohol poisoning. When asked what they told her had happened to Shanquella, Khalil claimed she got sick from drinking. It was alcohol. Khalil was someone who used to spend a lot of time with Shanquella's family, and they knew and trusted him. Even after returning from Cabo, he would continue to visit the family frequently. But everything changed when the autopsy results came back. Shanquella's mother revealed, "When was the last time you heard from him?" She responded, "I haven't heard from him since the autopsy came back. That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago now." Before we get into the autopsy results and how they exposed Khalil and the rest of the group, we need to look at the police report. The report claimed that Shankella's friends had told medical staff that she had consumed a lot of alcohol and was found severely dehydrated. According to the police report from the day of her death, guests at the resort had called for should have before completely, but the is significant.
10 years ago, a little girl who lived as a farmer and was adopted by a philanthropist billionaire. 10 years later, this girl pretended to be poor.
Do you know what eating cabbage can do to your heart? Cabbage is a cruciferous vegetable that resembles lettuce.
Atlantoaxial subluxation, a condition where there's instability or excessive movement in the top two vertebrae of the neck. This indicates that she had been physically attacked. What's even more troubling is that the autopsy found no trace of alcohol in her system. If she had truly consumed enough alcohol to cause alcohol poisoning, it should have been detected. This only strengthens the belief that her friends were lying and trying to cover up the truth. This theory was further confirmed when a video surfaced online showing Shankella being attacked by one of her friends, Dejanai Jackson. In the footage, Dejanai repeatedly strikes Shanquella while she doesn't fight back. What's even worse is that the rest of the group is seen standing around, doing nothing to stop the attack, or even telling Dejanai to stop. In the background, Khalil can be heard saying, "Shankella, can you at least fight back?" Based on what we know, the autopsy results suggest that Shankella could have easily been injured during the fight, especially since it's been reported that Winter Donovan also hit her and even slammed her into a wall. As a result of the public outrage, Shankella's parents' relentless pursuit of justice, and widespread anger, Mexican authorities decided to reopen the investigation into her death. The FBI also joined the case. Mexican police reversed their previous decision that her death was non-suspicious and have now classified it as a femicide. For those unfamiliar with the term, femicide refers to the killing of a woman because of her gender. The Mexican authorities believe that Shanquella was killed, at least in part, because she was a woman. As a result, the case is now being treated as femicide, and if the responsible parties are convicted, they could face up to 60 years in prison. The ruling that Shanquella's death is being treated as femicide has led many to believe her death was planned, possibly even before they left North Carolina. People have pointed out how her friends stood by and watched her get beaten without intervening, which raised suspicions that this could have been a...
I'm trying to show y'all all these people outside. Hold on, y'all, I'm sure.
In the Eastland neighborhood of Fort Worth at Castleman and Comanche, Lisbeth was with her family celebrating the 4th of July.
Like before everything started, they were already here.
Fort Worth police was already monitoring the area. They say 200 to 300 people took over the block.
I'm trying to show y'all all these people outside.
Just before midnight, the booming sound of fireworks was muted by gunfire.
What y'all doing?
Half an hour before, Latasha Hyman was streaming live on Castleman Street. Family confirms the 39-year-old makeup artist and business owner was killed in the crossfire.
It hurt.
Her cousin, Pastor Felton Jenkins,
it's a different kind of pain.
Spends every day fighting to stop gun violence, but this time,
she is sweet. She's my angel.
The pain is personal.
Every time we see each other, it's a hug, it's a kiss, it's a...
Police have identified the body of a pregnant woman found inside a White Oak apartment on Oakleaf Drive, that's in Silver Spring. This woman's name, Denise Middleton. Police believe the 26-year-old was killed by Tori Moore back in October.
So last week, police found Middleton's body inside of Moore's bedroom. Officers searched Moore's home after he was arrested for shooting and killing a convenience store employee. Moore is charged in the woman's death and for the unborn baby.
A man killing his pregnant girlfriend. With the aftermath of the trial, he had lost not only his daughter, but also his unborn grandson. The pain of knowing that...
You're stupid for that.
That's my mama. Hey, where you get it from? Hey, throw your hood up. Throw your hood up,
Of course I was manipulating you. That hurts my feelings. I've been good to you, Dean. I'm a cop, remember? But the king's dead. No, that's quiet. You need to mind your own business. I always wanted to punch the devil in the face. Shall we play a game at Mitchell's?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm fine regardless, baby. Watch the glow up. It all starts from here on out. Peace.
Grandmother behind bars accused of killing her own granddaughter. Police say it started with a family fight involving 3 different generations of women.
It's been a hard day for everyone.
Situations like this are very emotional for the families involved, for the community.
31-year-old Larkia Elliott was a vibrant, outgoing woman whose infectious smile and bubbly personality made her a natural presence both in person and online. A rising influencer, she gained over 20,000 subscribers on TikTok, where her funny and engaging videos captured the hearts of viewers, with her content racking up views in the hundreds and thousands. Larkia's ambition, a 9-to-5 job as a detention officer in Maricopa County, Arizona, to fully embrace her passion.
Hit you like this here. Mine. And you was telling me shit.
Finding an unresponsive adult female lying on the floor. The situation quickly escalated as authorities assessed the scene, marking the beginning of a tragic investigation into the events that led to this devastating discovery.
They say that this all started this afternoon, just after 4 o'clock, with a shooting call to 911. And during that call, they could hear yelling in the background. They said that once they got to the scene here in this neighborhood in Buckeye, they ordered everyone inside the home to come out. They said a woman in her 50s did come out of the home. She was detained without incident, but she was the only one to come out of the home. So once they went inside to search for others, they did find a woman in her 30s, unresponsive, suffering a gunshot wound. She had been shot at least once. Exactly how many times is still part of the investigation. First responders did try to save her, but sadly she did die on scene. Police also found a woman in her 70s inside the home with a handgun near her. They believe at this point that that was the shooter. Preliminary evidence indicating this is a domestic violence incident involving a grandmother, mother, and a granddaughter who all lived in this home.
The victim, 31-year-old Larkia Elliott, was tragically pronounced dead at the scene following a violent altercation with her family. According to court documents, the incident began when Larkia's 71-year-old grandmother, Deborah Green Davis, overheard a dispute between Larkia and her mother in the living room. In response, Davis dialed 911, but investigators say that during the call, Larkia attempted to take the phone away from her grandmother, which led to a physical confrontation. Larkia's mother then grabbed her by the hair, and the two continued to struggle. In the heat of the moment, Davis allegedly took a gun and shot her granddaughter in the back. Once in custody, Davis admitted to shooting her granddaughter, but claimed she did not believe Larkia was trying to harm her mother during the fight. The incident has left many in the community shocked and confused. How could a grandmother turn violent against her own granddaughter?
If she truly believed that Larkia was not going to harm her own mother.
That is so weird.
DraftKings' new Pick 6 app is the simplest way to get in on the NFL playoff action. New Pick 6 players get $50.
You did that, man. See that? There's gonna be a lot of stuff you're scared of, but it don't matter. You gotta push through it.
Okay. He died a brutal death. It's brutal. He did not deserve to go out that way.
Prosecutors say Love had beat the 6-year-old with a piece of lumber for wetting his pants at a park, then poured hydrogen peroxide on the open wounds and forced him to exercise until he collapsed.
When Charlene Saffer left her young son with a trusted friend, she never imagined the horror that would befall him. Little Chance Crawford went through pain and torture at the hands of someone who should have been protecting him. By the time he was rushed to the hospital, he had suffered unimaginable injuries that resulted. Little Chance Crawford went through pain and torture at the hands of someone who should have been protecting him. By the time
on the open wounds and forced him to exercise until he collapsed.
When Charlene Saffer left her young son with a trusted friend, she never imagined the horror that would befall him. Little Chance Crawford went through pain and torture at the hands of someone who should have been protecting him. By the time he was rushed to the hospital, he had suffered unimaginable injuries that resulted in his death. What could drive someone who was well respected and trusted in the community to commit such a horrifying act against a defenseless 6-year-old? What dark truth was hiding behind the mask of the man who acted like a mentor and a protector? The details in this case are both horrifying.
They do this every single time I'm on Wi-Fi, so it's just stupid. Like, they're really trying to control my phone. They're like extra stalking me and hacking my phone.
A boy who's too poor to even buy food becomes a monk. However, when the master tries to burn a mark on his head, he can't get a mark.
Police have identified the body of a pregnant woman.
You did that, man. See that? That's gonna.
Prosecutors say Love had beat the 6-year-old with the piece of lumber for wetting his pants at a park, then poured hydrogen peroxide on the open wounds and forced him to exercise until he collapsed.
When Charlene Saffer left her young son with a trusted friend, she never imagined the horror that would befall him. Little Chance Crawford went through pain and torture at the hands of someone who should have been protecting him. By the time he was rushed to the hospital, he had suffered unimaginable injuries that resulted in his death. What could drive someone who was well respected and trusted in the community to commit such a horrifying act against a defenseless 6-year-old? What dark truth was hiding behind the mask of the man who acted like a mentor and a protector? The details in this case are both horrifying.
I've never really tried to continue with it. Like, I will always just clean it like once and then just leave it alone. But it's kind of like they're doing a lot right now, so I don't know. Probably because I'm recording and I'm watching what I saved for later and I'm talking about it. I mean, it's not like a real YouTube video where I'm like this type of YouTuber that watches video and talks about them. So it's like, why are they even trying to act like I'm doing something in the aspect when they know I'm really gonna just keep on trying to expose them every single time that I can? Because literally she does not need to be stalking me every single day, and along with the rest of her cyber stalker friends or him.
Hey!
Little Chance Crawford went through pain and torture at the hands of someone who should have been protecting him. By the time he was rushed to the hospital, he had suffered
What?
He tried to jump out through the crib.
Wow, he's smart. You know, he's in there because he was trying to climb and playing with things he shouldn't have. He should try to take a nap. He ate a lot. Right, Hayla? I don't know. He was trying to take a nap right now earlier. Like, probably say like 30 minutes ago he was trying to take a nap. He was laying down and then he got back. Oh, right now he's laying down actually again. That's good. I think he's seen me trying to look at him. Oh, he's right here at the front again. He has done it before, and that's what I kind of want him to learn, because within like 15 minutes he's gonna start complaining. Because he was climbing over there out there. If you want, you could take him over there.
I'm about to go vape. I'm actually gonna go outside. I'm going to medicine.
He was doing fine. I was already thinking about feeding him again because he's not going to go to sleep like, I don't know, he doesn't want to. Yeah, I'm going to take him out. He's been in there for too long for him not to fall asleep. He was going to be playing instead of being in the crib, but he wants to climb things, so it's just like he can't be out there if he's trying to climb things. It's a little too much. It's just, I can't.
Broke me, my sister, my best friend, my heart. Everyone asks if I'm okay. Y'all don't understand how much she meant to me and how many times she was there for me. December isn't a good month for me at all. Losing my mom last December and now losing you this December is crazy. I love you, Fiona Sutton, forever and ever. An Uber spokesperson released a statement saying, "We're incredibly saddened by this horrible crash and are keeping those involved in our thoughts. We're continuing to look into this and are standing by to assist in the investigation."
She was close to graduating from nursing school.
He said, "Are you somewhere sitting down?" When he said that, I lost it.
We're only showing the aftermath of surveillance video we obtained of the crash that killed Kiana 1 week ago this hour, New Year's Eve night, as lots of police, fire department crews, and medics arrived, where 1 week later, lots of shattered glass still fills the spot here along Ogons Avenue.
431, our top story on this Tuesday morning. A drug smuggling tunnel along Arizona's border has been shut down. Take a look at these photos. This is from Sonora State Police in Mexico. Officers of the woman, her dog, and the woman's car. Workers say she tried to surrender her dog, but was told she can only do so by appointment. So instead, she just left that animal in the parking lot and drove away. Workers say the dog attempted to chase her car and then was nearly hit by another vehicle. So they were finally able to capture the puppy hours later.
We're learning more about the suspect who parked a Tesla Cybertruck outside of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas before it exploded on New Year's Day.
Officials say he was an active duty military service member who lived in Colorado and was born here in Arizona. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more.
A massive explosion on New Year's Day outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. The bed of that Cybertruck was loaded with gas containers and fireworks. Investigators now believe the man inside the car was Matthew Livelsberger, an Army Green Beret who was on leave from duty overseas.
The individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle.
Las Vegas police showed new evidence like photo IDs belonging to Livelsberger and video of the Cybertruck driving on Las Vegas Boulevard. There were also 2 guns in the car bought legally by Livelsberger Monday.
Looking into exactly what the motivation is, remains our number one priority.
Police have mapped out the trip the truck made from Colorado and have photos of the suspect along the way.
We still have only ever seen him in this vehicle, and we're not aware of any other subjects involved in this particular case.
The FBI searched a home connected to the suspect in Colorado Springs.
I can't get it. She was giving multiple stops that on her belly button that her intestines were out. And the worst thing, we left her to butt out.
I will not die. You want me to be with you, I told you I can't be with you. I want to stay and fight for you. And my God will back me up.
When they got no response, the police officers, they broke down the door and gained forceful access into the building. And that was where they met after the composed body, her corpse. It was already, I think it wasn't, it's been there for some days, and according to the report we got, it's been said that she was missing body parts like her breast and her vagina.
It began as the picture-perfect romance between 2 famous influencers, but it ended in horror. 21-year-old Augusta Osedian was found brutally murdered, her body mutilated, and parts missing. Viewer discretion is advised. This case is graphic and disturbing.
Top-line Instagram influencer Osta SXO, who was brutally murdered by her boyfriend of 3 years, and her dead body was discovered by her mother, who, when Osta did not return back home after telling her mom she was stepping out for over some days, the mom got worried and said to try to call her daughter, but her number wasn't going through, so her mom knows of her boyfriend, and then her mom was able to track the daughter's phone. They tracked her phone and they led them to the boyfriend's estate. So when they got to the venue, she saw her daughter's car. She came with police. She already notified police people around the area, so they came with the policemen. And when they got to the venue, they saw her daughter's car parked outside, and her car key was just on the bonnet of her car.
Sometimes the lives we think are the most perfect hide the most sinister secrets. For Augusta Osedian and February 3rd, 2002. Augusta was a student at Leeds City University, balancing her education with a successful career as a model and influencer. She worked with many brands, showing off everything from designer clothes to lifestyle products. But behind the glamorous photo shoots and lavish lifestyle was a down-to-earth young woman who did everything for her family, particularly her mother Cordelia. Augusta and her mother shared everything. They weren't just family, they were best friends. But everything changed when she met Benjamin Best.
I DM a nigga price on the case. 100 bands. It's 100 bands.
Benjamin Best, a 26-year-old social media personality, seemed like the perfect match for Augusta. Known online as Killaboy, Benjamin was charming, ambitious, and had his own fans. He described himself as a blockchain developer and crypto enthusiast, a modern, successful man who could keep up with Augusta's fast-paced life. Their relationship was straight out of a romance movie. Benjamin treated Augusta like royalty, seemed like the perfect couple. Anything too serious.
We went then discussed with the police, paid the money to evacuate the body to the morgue that night. I didn't know. Then on 16th of July was church, went to church. We came back from church, we broke the news that my daughter was in the morgue.
Blood stained the floor, and her body showed clear signs of a violent struggle. To make matters worse, her private parts had been mutilated. Her body had already started decomposing, showing that she'd been there for days. Augusta, the bright, beautiful young woman who had lit up so many lives, was gone.
I promise you, God will fight for your justice. And I will never give up. That is what you know your mother is a lion. You know me, I'm a fighter. I will not die. You want me to be with you, but I've told you I can't be with you.
It looks like a simple house in a rural suburb outside Belgrade, the capital of Serbia. Nothing looks out of order from the outside. Grind up human beings. And then they sent these Serbian law enforcement and officials. But again, it did. I'm Matt Sarnecki, a journalist and filmmaker at the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. I'm going to walk you through this whole bizarre story and introduce you to the journal. Most people are familiar with mobile app made by a company in Canada. Is reporting this and
And so this was kind of definite evidence that we managed to provide in public. But yet, he's still in police.
I want to go now, lastly, back to the messages between the gendarme and Belivuk. It wasn't just one rogue police official, it goes much deeper. So here, the gendarme writes to Belivuk, "Be patient, please. Here is Diana begging you." The gendarme mentions a woman named Diana. He is referring to Diana Hrkalovic, as confirmed by the secret police report.
This gendarme was just working on behalf, literally the second most powerful person in Serbian police, and that's Diana Hrkalovic. She was officially General Secretary of the Police, which means literally right-hand man of the Minister of Police himself. And when he was communicating with Belivuk, he will say that Diana, or D, using the first letter of her name, wants you to do this, or she wants you not to do this. So literally he was just passing her commands to the Belivuk. And that's completely clear from the messages. And not just that, we can see that she was not working on her own, because the gendarme will tell, usually to Belivuk, okay, Diana wants you to do this, but you should also know that Boss and Big Boss, which he never named, were also agree with her. These police were never named in these messages. They were just called Boss and Big Boss. Diana Hrkalovic eventually, in the end, was fired from police. She was hiding these WhatsApp messages from prosecution.